Just like in any other sport, racing drivers disagree with one another from time to time. At the end of the day, F1 is often called a big racing fraternity. However, there are also moments in which things get out of hand and sportsmanship flies out of the window. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to keep up with the latest updates. Enjoy the video. Formula One is often known for the respect between competitors. After all, drivers are risking their lives on a regular basis, which makes sportsmanship an almost mandatory requirement. But once the tempers flare, drivers forget their good manners, and things get ugly. Let's remember some famous 0% sportsmanship moments. Renault Race Fixing. Nothing screams poor sportsmanship like race fixing. In one of the most famous scandals in F1 history, Renault manipulated the 2008 Singapore Grand Prix to secure a win for its leading driver, two-time champion Fernando Alonso. The Spaniard made an early pit stop on lap 12, and on lap 14, teammate Nelson Piquet Jr. crashed at turn 17, bringing out the safety car. Back then, drivers were not allowed to pit until the entire field had lined up behind the SC, which meant that Alonso was set to inherit the lead. The Spaniard took advantage of the situation and went on to win the race, a fairly normal result. A year later, a bombshell was dropped during the 2009 Belgian Grand Prix. Piquet Jr. had crashed on purpose, under Renault boss Flavio Briatore's orders. The result was allowed to stand, but both Briatore and Renault chief engineer Pat Symonds were suspended from F1. Alain Prost versus Ayrton Senna, Part 1. The rivalry between Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost is one of the most iconic in Formula One. Following a relatively civil duel for the 1988 title, things got ugly in 1989. Entering the penultimate round in Japan, Prost was on the verge of winning his third title. He overtook pole-sitter Senna at the start of the race and led until lap 47. Senna went for a dive bomb into the Casio Triangle chicane, and the pair collided, with Prost not making an effort to move out of the way. The Frenchman retired on the spot, while his Brazilian rival was able to rejoin the race. Senna delivered an incredible recovery drive, but got disqualified for cutting the chicane while trying to rejoin the track. The result allowed Prost to secure the title with one race to spare, but things were far from over. Alain Prost versus Ayrton Senna, Part 2. Senna was still unhappy with the outcome of the 1989 title fight. A year later, the pair arrived at Suzuka with their roles reversed. Senna was the one on the verge of winning the championship with one race to go. The Brazilian qualified on pole, just like he had done the year before. However, he was going to line up on the inside, a highly unusual position, since it's the dirt side of the track. Senna voiced his displeasure with the grid placement, but had his request to move pole position to the clean side denied. Vowing to exact revenge for the 1989 clash, the Brazilian backed up his promise. After losing the lead to Prost off the line, Senna deliberately crashed into his rival entering turn 1. The pair retired on the spot, and the Brazilian won his second world championship as a result. Michael Schumacher takes out Damon Hill. Michael Schumacher became well known for his ruthless driving style, and the seven-time champion wasn't afraid to cross the so-called red lines. Schumacher entered the final round of the 1994 season in Adelaide, leading title rival Damon Hill by a single point. After qualifying second for the race, the German passed pole-sitter Mendel Mansell off the line, with Hill following suit. On lap 36, with the Brit closing in on him, Schumacher made a rare mistake, missing his braking point into Eastern Terrace and brushing the barrier. Hill was about to pass Schumacher's Benetton when the German took an unexpected action and deliberately crashed into Hill's Williams. Schumacher retired on the spot, while Hill tried to continue. The damage to his suspension, however, forced the Williams driver to retire as well. Schumacher won his maiden title, but came under heavy fire for the move. Michael Schumacher tries to take out Jacques Villeneuve. 3 years after the controversial ending in Adelaide, Schumacher attempted a repeat. The German, then a two-time champion, entered the European Grand Prix at Jerez with a 1-point lead over title rival Jacques Villeneuve. In one of the most famous qualifying sessions in F1 history, Villeneuve, Schumacher, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen set the exact same lap times at 1:20.072. Following the tie-break criteria, Villeneuve secured pole, lining up alongside Schumacher. The German passed his Canadian rival at the start, but was eventually caught. On lap 48, Villeneuve went for a move into the downhill dry sack corner. Schumacher deliberately opened up his steering angle to line up alongside Villeneuve's Williams, and then crashed into the side pod of his title rival. Just like in 1994, Schumacher retired on the spot, sliding off into the gravel. ITV commentator Martin Brundle even joked about the move. "That didn't work, Michael. You hit the wrong part of him, my friend." Villeneuve picked up some severe damage to his battery mount and lost a lot of pace. Despite this, he was able to continue and cross the line third to win his first title. After the race, Schumacher was disqualified from the championship, promoting Frentzen to the runner-up spot. Max Verstappen's NASCAR-style payback on George Russell. Verstappen and Russell had a notorious on-track incident during qualifying for the 2024 Qatar Grand Prix. In a rather questionable decision by the stewards, the Dutchman was handed a one-place penalty for driving unnecessarily slow on his out lap. Russell's protest and statements during their meeting with the stewards did not sit well with the Dutchman, and while Verstappen had little trouble running circles around Russell and the rest of the field in the race, the episode was still lingering on the back of his mind. During the final laps of the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix, tensions came to a boil. Following a poor strategic call by Red Bull, Verstappen dropped from third to fourth at the restart. Heading into turn 1, he was forced off the track by Russell and had to cut the corner to avoid a crash. The stewards ultimately sided with Verstappen on this one, agreeing that the Dutchman had been forced to take an avoiding action. But Red Bull, acting on its own, told the Dutchman to hand the position to his rival, fearing a potential penalty that was never even discussed. Verstappen slowed down on the approach to turn 4, and then deliberately rammed his front left into the side pod of Russell's Mercedes. While Verstappen avoided getting black flagged, the NASCAR-style payback earned him a 10-second penalty, along with a hefty 3 penalty points. Fernando Alonso blocks Lewis Hamilton in the pits. In 2007, McLaren boss Ron Dennis was having flashbacks to the Prost Senna days. Having completed a blockbuster move for reigning two-time champion Fernando Alonso, the Woking squad unexpectedly found itself having to handle an intra-team battle. Rookie Lewis Hamilton had impressed since the start of the season, taking the fight to his much more experienced rival. And then came the fireworks. After the Monaco Grand Prix, Dennis determined that the drivers were going to alternate their track positions in qualifying, with Alonso getting priority in one race and Hamilton in the next one. However, the Brit disrespected the agreement in Hungary and went out ahead of Alonso. Hamilton ignored the order to swap positions, and things got ugly. Alonso overtook his teammate on the cooldown lap and entered the pits ahead of him. The Spaniard then remained stationary for long enough to prevent Hamilton from setting a second flying lap. Alonso scored pole for the race, but was given a 5-place grid penalty for impeding his teammate in the pits. After the session, Alonso threatened to spill the beans on McLaren's infamous Spygate, which further escalated tensions within the team. Michael Schumacher blocks the track in Monaco. In what was supposed to be his final season in F1, Schumacher was in a tight championship fight with Fernando Alonso. In Monaco, the German narrowly edged Alonso out on the first flying lap, beating the Spaniard by just under 600ths. During his second flying lap, Schumacher pretended to miss the entry into Rascasse, bringing out a session-ending yellow flag to secure pole. Schumi's acting, however, wasn't convincing enough, as onboard footage clearly showed that his mistake had been a deliberate act. And so, Schumacher was forced to start from pit lane, along with teammate Felipe Massa. The 7-time champion still pulled off an impressive recovery drive, crossing the line 5th. Ferrari's unnecessary team orders. Schumacher was waltzing to the 2002 title. On board the dominant F2002, the German held a 21-point lead over Juan Pablo Montoya heading into the Austrian Grand Prix. Teammate Rubens Barrichello started the race from pole and led all but one lap. Looking set for a popular second career win, Barrichello received a devastating radio message with 9 laps to go. Rubens, let Michael pass for the championship. And then, right at the finish line on the final lap, Barrichello slowed down to hand the win over to his teammate. The year before, the Brazilian had done a similar move to hand second place to Schumacher. After the race, Schumacher relinquished the trophy to his teammate and swapped places with him on the rostrum. The crowd was having none of it, however, and erupted into audible boos, with fans feeling that the team orders were completely unnecessary. Indeed, Schumacher won the title on the 13th round of the season, with 4 races to go. The German returned the favor in Indianapolis, handing the win to his teammate at the line, Multi-21 Seb. While team orders are controversial, disrespecting them can also be frowned upon depending on the circumstances. During the 2013 Malaysian Grand Prix, Mark Webber took the lead from teammate Sebastian Vettel and looked set to win the race. Red Bull had its multi-map 21 in place, a coded message for reducing the engine mapping and maintaining track position. 12 stood for Vettel-Webber, while 21 stood for Webber-Vettel, referencing their car numbers. But on lap 46, with 11 to go, Vettel decided to ignore the team's orders. The German attacked and passed the Australian, with the pair almost making contact. Vettel was told to give the position back, but he once again ignored Red Bull's orders and crossed the line to win by over 4 seconds. The move did not sit well with the team, and even fans were questioning Vettel's decision to attack an unsuspecting teammate, who had no way to defend his position by running on a lower engine map. In the cool-down room, a visibly upset Webber looked over at his teammate and uttered 3 words that F1 fans remember to this day. Multi-21, Seb, Felipe Massa, and Fernando Alonso's post-race exchange in the Nurburgring. The 2007 European Grand Prix is known as one of the craziest races in Formula One history. A sudden rain shower at the end of the first lap turned the race into a chaotic one, with drivers spinning all over the place and the order getting shuffled. Massa and Alonso emerged first and second from the melee. With the track now fully dry, Massa held a comfortable lead over the Spaniard and looked set to win the race. But with 8 to go, the ring was hit by another shower. Running on a wet Seb, Alonso closed down the gap and passed Massa with 4 laps to go. The pair went side by side through turns 5 and 6, and Massa's left front tire made contact with Alonso's right side pod. On park firm, the Spaniard showed the rubber mark to the TV cameras. The Brazilian did not take it kindly, and the two got into a heated, expletive-filled argument on the way to the podium. No handshakes or hugs after the race, only hard feelings. That's it for F1's 0% sportsmanship moments. Do you remember other iconic episodes in which drivers threw sportsmanship to the side? Share them with us in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.